Good evening and a warm welcome. These are on the weekend with Ibrahim Samora. Coming up tonight, SLPP Women's Wing presents newly elected women's leader to President Bio at State House. Ebenezer West Africa Methodist Church celebrates 90-year anniversary in the presence of President Bio. Rainbow Initiative Sierra Leone stages work with gender-based violence survivors. More news and details line up in this edition of Weekend News. But first, let us take our public health message on COVID-19.
You see where them people here wear them mask them fine? Well, now so you say for wear your mask. Cover your nose and you much all time where you dey near other person.
Over 40 African Americans have been conferred citizenship as they receive their passport from President Bio at State House. These African Americans are descendants of the Sierra Leones captured during the slave trade era in 8th and 18th century. They have been tracing their roots for several years and they are pleased and proud to be Sierra Leonean. Hawa Mosiri now reports.
Those were African Americans taking the oath of allegiance before President Julius Maada Bio at State House. They are descendants of civilians who were captured during the 18th century slave trade era and taken to America and other parts of the world. They have been tracing their ancestral route to Sierra Leone through DNA in order to guarantee their citizenship as Sierra Leoneans. President Bio has conferred them their citizenship passport. Addressing the African Americans, President Julius Maada Bio noted that despite centuries of bitter separation, they have always known that Africans are tied together at the navel. And after so many centuries, science and DNA have helped them ascertain their heritage and ancestry. President Bio welcomed the African Americans to the fourth most peaceful country in Africa, a country that is also in the top tier in Africa for religious tolerance, personal freedoms, freedom of expression, and hospitality.
Welcome to the country where we are investing in people and promoting and protecting rights. Welcome to the country where women's right is a passion, where radical inclusion means all and everyone, where we are legislating a gender equality and women's empowerment law. Welcome to the country where, for 3 straight years, the United States Millennium Cooperation Challenge has rated this country very high for ruling justly and for investing in people.
The president underscored the interest of the African Americans to invest in different sectors, including healthcare, tourism, technology, and education.
In spite of constraints imposed by COVID-19 pandemic, our economic fundamentals are strong and we are working to diversify the economy with investment-friendly incentives. In September of this year, I met a number of African-American lawmakers in Washington, D.C. I walked away from each meeting excited and energized about what we spoke about, the joy of working together, the possibilities and the opportunities that exist.
Deputy Minister of Tourism and Cultural Affairs, William Robinson, disclosed that the over 40 African Americans are the third set of citizenship conferment on diaspora Sierra Leoneans that the government has done. The Deputy Minister noted that even the dreaded COVID-19 couldn't stop them from obtaining what rightfully belongs to them, as they have taken a giant step to liberate their generation from the shackles of mental slavery. He told them that the President's position and support for diaspora naturalization in consonance with the laws of the country continues to motivate the Ministry of Tourism and Cultural Affairs and other MDs to collaborate in making the necessary provision for them to return home and integrate into the local culture.
Our President's disposition and support for diaspora naturalization is in consonance with the laws of this country, which continues to motivate the Ministry of Tourism and Cultural Affairs and other NDAs to collaborate in making the necessary provision for you to return home and also integrate yourself into local culture. We are the Ronco, eat the Pemamu, dance the Gugu dance, and sing also the national anthem that we have just performed.
Damon Haley, who spoke on behalf of his colleagues, commended President Bill for his laudable gesture and that they were pleased to become Sierra Leoneans.
My name is Damon Haley, and on behalf of all the recipients, we thank you. We thank you for your grace, your consideration, and your confirming citizenship. We come from the United States, Canada, Europe, to come home and to close the circle of our understanding of our heritage and of our origins. We've learned history, experienced culture, and engaged with the people, and it was truly a blessing, truly phenomenal. We are proud to be citizens of Sierra Leone. Thank you.
Most of them are now planning to come home finally to settle and also invest. African Americans are largely the descendants of enslaved people who were brought from their African homelands by force to work in the New World. Their rights were severely limited and they were long denied a right to share in the economic, social, and political progress of the United States. African Americans, also referred to as Black Americans, are an ethnic group consisting of Americans with partial or total ancestry from any of the black racial groups of Africa. They constitute the second largest racial group in the U.S. after white Americans and the third largest ethnic group after Hispanic and Latino Americans. SABC TV News are in Freetown. Hawamosiri reporting.
Meanwhile, non-resident ambassadors of Norway, the Netherlands, Hungary, and Austria have presented their letters of credence to President Bio at State House in Freetown. It is a custom for ambassadors and high commissioners designates to different countries to present their letters of credence to their heads of states in the country they are assigned to work. Hawamosiri again.
These are non-resident ambassadors, but their embassies are covered Sierra Leone in terms of diplomatic relationships. That's why they have presented their letters of credence to President Julius Maada in strengthening bilateral ties between their countries and Sierra Leone. Each of the ambassadors presents their letters of credence and has a tete-a-tete with the President and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Professor David Francis, following which they were introduced to the various government ministers who also witnessed the ceremony. The ambassadors are Johan Varen of the Netherlands, in green mustard designate to the Kingdom of Norway, and Thomas Edgefair, ambassador designate to Hungary, all based in Accra, Ghana. Dr. Geraldine Pashinga is the ambassador designate of Austria, based in Dakar. These countries have strong bilateral ties with Sierra Leone for quite a long time now. SABC TV News are in Freetown. Hawamosiri reporting.
Anniversaries remind us of important events, both personal and spiritual. They remind us of something that matters to us and the people around us. For this reason, the Ebenezer West Africa Methodist Church at Desire Street, Freetown, has, in the presence of President Julius Maada Bio, celebrated a huge day in the church's history on the occasion of her 90th chapel anniversary with the theme, "Thus far, the Lord has helped us." Dennis Fraser was in attendance and reports.
The name Ebenezer in the Bible means the stone of help, and so as the Ebenezer West Africa Methodist Church being a solid help to the Brookfield community where it is situated and also its environs. Since it was founded in December 1931, the church has since contributed immensely to nation building in the area of education, leadership and other spheres of society. The service was graced with the presence of the President of Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Bio, state officials and other distinguished guests from other churches. According to the chairman of the church's 90th celebration, Claude Davis, the church has helped shape the lives of many young people in the church and has opened its doors to non-members of the church who could not afford to pay expensive fees for school elsewhere. He said as a church, they were blessed to have eminent personalities who have served the nation in various capacities.
The church has come a long way. We have contributed to the society, and today we are 90 years, and so we thought it fit that we have to give thanks and praise the Lord for taking us through the many challenges, and thus far He has brought us. It takes a lot, very much to us.
Delivering his sermon, the preacher Reverend Gustavus Johnson congratulated the church on the 90th anniversary. He also used the opportunity to thank the President for providing quality leadership to the nation. He used the theme, "Thus far, the Lord has helped us," to charge the congregation that the Lord has brought them this far in order to honor Him by devoting themselves in the service of the Lord, who had used His word to provoke and stimulate them to His service and the service of humanity. Reverend Gustavus remarked that they, as men of God, must always be in the position to preach the gospel without compromise and thereby exalting the name of the Lord. He said that in whatever they do, they should do it for God and remember to leave behind a legacy.
Thus far as the Lord helped us. Thus far is an olden English. Thus far. But let me see how I can juxtapose it so that you can understand. We can say, up to this point, the Lord has helped us.
In his address, President Julius Maada Bio congratulated the church on the 90th anniversary celebration. He said although this was his first time of being there, he was much excited to be worshiping with them on a historic celebration. He noted that the church was a small church, but with a great blessing, and for that reason, he wanted to share in that blessing. The president strongly expressed that he was a fervent Christian who only stumbled into politics, and because of divine will, was now president of Sierra Leone.
Small church, great choir. As a result of the deep I've had so far, I know you can do better than what I've had so far. And I know as a church it's a great blessing. I want to share the blessings of this church, and that is why I decided to help you. I know you are a small church with big dreams, and I will help you in realizing those dreams. Our religious beliefs led us to politics. I stumbled into politics. I was never designed and trained to be a politician. But if we believe that it is God that ordains our path in life, then when I say I stumbled and never looked back again, I believe that God made me to be a politician.
Ebenezer West Africa Methodist Church has been a tremendous inspiration to not only the Brookfield community, it also has solidly contributed to nation building through education. SABC News Hour, Dennis Fraser reporting.
As part of their 16 days of activism on raising awareness on sexual violence and abuse against women, Rainbow Initiative Sierra Leone, together with the partners, has organized a sponsored work with the theme Get Involved, work with the gender-based violence survivors. The work began from Jue Junction in the east end of Freetown to Aberdeen Road in the west. Kadia Tukabo went along for the SLBC. She has these reports.
Young men and women were seen walking under the scorching sun from Jure Junction in the east of Freetown to Aberdeen Road in the west in an effort to raise awareness on gender-based violence. According to the Deputy Director, Rainbow Initiative Sierra Leone, the sponsor walk not only aimed at raising awareness but also meant to raise money to construct a Rainbow Center of Excellence in Freetown. The center is expected to provide a safe space to support survivors of sexual violence to heal with dignity and care. He added that over 2,000 cases of rape involving women and girls were reported this year.
We want to use this opportunity to inform people about the effects of sexual and gender-based violence. And secondly, we want to raise some money to support us to construct a Rainbow Center in Freetown. We call it a Rainbow Center of Excellence. You know, where we operate from the Cottage Hospital, we have a really very small Rainbow Center.
The Director of Gender and the Ministry of Gender and Children's Affairs, Charles Vandy, said ending gender-based violence in Sierra Leone was a task for all, and it is a fight that Sierra Leone must win.
Today, they are victims or survivors, but somebody else can become a victim or survivor some other day. So this is a fight that we are calling on all Sierra Leoneans to join in. That is why the work started from Jue, running across the city onto Aberdeen here, just to show a clear message that everyone, every Sierra Leonean needs to get involved in the battle. It's not just a government battle, it's not just a Rainbow Initiative battle, but it's a battle that is for all Sierra Leoneans, and it's a fight we have to win.
One of the participants, Amira Kroma, said she joined the Solidarity March for all those women who have been sexually assaulted, and also because she wanted to play a part in raising awareness about gender-based violence. Ending all forms of violence against women and girls has become a national priority, and everyone's efforts are essential. For SLBC News, Kadia Tukab reporting.
President Julius Maada Bio has called on the women's wing of the Sierra Leone People's Party to come together and work as a team. She made this call when the women's wing of the party presented their newly elected women's leader, Hawa Fore, to him at State House, where hundreds of women gathered to witness the occasion. Hawa Musiri reports.
Finally, the election of the national women's leader of the SLPP has been concluded with the election of Hawa Fore after a hectic contest at the Catco Hotel in Freetown. The women's leader was elected by 173 votes over the incumbent Fatima Taswane. President Julius Maada Bio commended the women for their patience and appealed to them to work as one and plan a better future for the young girls of the party. President Bio acknowledged that women are strong people who always work towards their own interest.
Today, when I don't get the freedom, when I don't get the space, when I don't elect my own leader, when I need to provide support for that leadership to make it succeed. And the women's wing is supposed to be a very powerful wing of any party when it is organized and properly led. Today you have the opportunity, when I don't get the opportunity for choosing my own leader, and when I will create a council around them, and when I need for give them the support for me to able to provide the leadership necessary for making us continue, for function as a very big part of the Sierra Leone People's Party.
He appealed to the women to deviate from violence and set a good example for the young generation, noting that the contestants of the national women's leader position have long worked for the party. The women from the different regions said should support their leader and make the party successful. President Bio also updated them about his government development strides during his 3 years so far in governance.
We don't come handle things and take into consideration what we inherit. We have done a great job. I'm not saying, people that they talk, that they do all kinds of things, but I want for make when I get confidence, I be always provide that strong leadership where I've been telling us say, under me your leadership, SLPP no go shame. We don't do several things then we make it team up any side. You know they cost anybody. You tell and say, but me not politics. I want to talk to you about. Me government, they don't do A, B, C. You don't go take the bad Z. Because the manifesto will be put out. When are the written document of the things that will be say what they do? When I will put out, we don't do that one day. The things that we do, in fact, we don't do more things than the day inside the manifesto. And that, not during COVID, under very difficult circumstances, when the whole world, they experience depression. So I want to make one know, we just need to hold on. It's a global issue, it affects everybody, but things have started to change.
Newly elected women's leader Hawa Foye commended the women for electing her. She said the work for the party started at zonal level at Luabambara Chiefdom in the Kenema district. Due to her hard work with the women from zonal, constituency, district and regional levels, she decided to vie for the national women's leader position, and she has finally succeeded. She commended the First Lady for her strong leadership and support during her campaign and election. Madam Foye called on her women to be steadfast and work very hard towards women's empowerment.
Woman them, we don't suffer now this party, and now for you. Woman them, now we the time who order for this party. The bulk of the party, now the grassroots, now then they form a governance. So today, we there for the President Bio no say, we not get nobody in agenda. President Bio, full stop. Now in agenda we get. And we ready for take this leadership. So we people them, zone, constituency, chiefdom. Because now then they suffer, now then they come, now then they pay their money, now then they do everything for President Bio, and we will stand by you, and we will give a first lift to the women's wing. And women's wing, I want to tell me mama them, me papa them, women's wing, we will make a formidable women's wing, where other political parties then go admire and come to we.
The First Lady Fatima Bio thanked the women of SLPP for electing a candidate of their choice. She said when the party pronounced the executive elections, some women in the region presented Hawa Foye as their own candidate to the women's leadership position. Although the elections in Kaila did not go as planned as a result of alleged electoral irregularities, the entire process has now finally concluded in a transparent manner.
I thank you today. I go tin up and say, I don't see woman in a SLPP one no say den day. And now, Usa no will reach. If na Bombali, I will call the Bombali women's leader, say go there for me. If na Tonkoli, I will call the Tonkoli women's leader, say go there for me. If na Falaba, if na Konadugu, because Your Excellency, every district in this country sit on here right now. Every one of them voted for Hawa Foye. Every district. So they say na me for hand Hawa Foye and Madam Rosa to you. They say na me for hand them. But no, I know they hand them because every district then here. Every single district make una put una somebody where they did una make una come before. Every district from Freedom to Kenema when I then put Hawa Foye before. To Falaba, to Konadugu, to all the Kono outside, bo dear. Una put one person where they grab for una, no una all can line up. No una take una women's leader, no una hand them over to His Excellency, we on leader.
The The newly elected Deputy Women's Leader, Rosamond Matia, commended the women for electing her and pledged a commitment to work with the women's wing and support women's empowerment. The outgoing Deputy Women's Leader thanked her past executive for providing what she called quality for the women of the SLPP.
The Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs, Martin Tarawale, has made a commitment to implement socio-economic empowerment scheme as our flagship program. The scheme seeks to provide economic and livelihood support to persons living with disability. She was speaking during the commemoration of the International Day of Persons with Disability, organized by the National Commission of Persons with Disability at U Building. Dennis Fraser reports.
National Commission for Persons with Disability, NCPD, in collaboration with Ministry of Social Welfare, has commemorated International Day of Persons with Disability on the theme Leadership and Participation of Persons with Disability towards an inclusive, accessible and sustainable post-COVID-19 world. December 3rd every year is observed as International Day of Persons with Disability by United Nations to increase public awareness, understanding and acceptance of people with disability. It is no secret that most times people with disability are left out in decision-making processes, especially during times of crucial national issues. For this reason, the theme for this year's focus is on minimizing the pre-existing inequalities faced by persons with disabilities in education, employment and development programs. The first Chancellor, European delegation to Sierra Leone, Sirad Hatla, said disability inclusion was an essential condition to uphold human rights, sustainable development, peace and security. He therefore noted that the European Union has joined the global call for removing the barriers towards an inclusive, accessible and sustainable world.
For the European Union and its member states, one of our core values is exactly tolerance and inclusion. And that's why I'm happy to be here, and thanks for granting me the possibility, even if it was a surprise, to give support. But I just want to express that the EU stands with Salone, the EU stands with persons with disability.
Amidst the many commitments made by officials of government, we are those cited by the head of directorate at the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education, who emphasized the provision in the Disability Act of 2011, which makes provision for access to free education from junior to university level by persons with disabilities in Sierra Leone. The Minister of Social Welfare, Madam Bendu Dasama Kamara, whilst delivering a keynote address, congratulated persons with disability on the occasion of the International Day of Persons with Disability. She noted that over the years, our ministry, with support of the government and partners, had undertaken many programs that are geared towards promoting the welfare of persons living with disability. Madam Dasama declared that ministry was about to launch the accessibility audit report alongside the socio-economic empowerment scheme to provide economic and livelihood support to persons living with disability.
We all see our persons with disabilities on the streets of begging, and that does not send a very good message about our country, especially those that are around the cotton tree and the cities and town centers all over the country. So for the past year, together with partners and the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, we have identified training centers. Of course, you heard me talk about 3 training centers that are doing very well with persons with disabilities around the country.
Francis Danema, a member of the Union of Persons with Disability, expressed his delight for the commitment shown so far by government, but also called on the attention of the President to make persons with disability to be represented at Cabinet. Sierra Leone is gradually making notable progress in promoting inclusive and development of persons with disability through the International Convention on the Rights of Persons Living with Disabilities and to eliminate stigma and discrimination, inclusion, education and economic empowerment. SABC News Hour, Dennis Fraser reporting.
Persons living with disability in Mabath Village, Koyachidam, Western Rural District, have called on the government and other humanitarian organizations to rescue them from their current deplorable condition. They made the call during the presentation of assertive materials to them by House of Happiness charity organization. Emmanuel Samura went along.
These people are to be embraced and given the opportunities to live a dignified life that will make them to equally participate and meaningfully contribute to society. But their current deplorable condition speaks volume of how deprived they are. This veranda is where they sleep and they don't have access to enter into the structures. Their current condition vividly defines poverty, which even some of them have gone years without having any assistive device to aid their mobility. In the dries, they sleep well at night, but during the rains, it's like hell on earth for them. They settled here on their own with the aim of removing other disabled from the streets.
We need shelter, we need residents, and we want to get ourselves together because our disability is not our inability. If you can see some of them here, they can do a lot. Some of them learn skills, which will develop them, which will make them useful citizens. But because they are in the street, they are not marketed, they are not valued.
As their name implies, House of Happiness has put smile on some of their faces with these wheelchairs, walking aids and bags of rice. To address some of their accommodation challenge and others, House of Happiness also presented cash to some of the disabled for rent and others as tuition fees.
Today, I received joy in my heart.
I am extremely happy today, receiving my house rent and also cash to start business on my own. Life was like hell for me, but today, House of Happiness has given me reason to smile again.
Then I requested the last time for school fees because I started doing this tailoring course, but I was not able to finance myself. So I requested for House of Happiness, and they have given me my fees to go and pay.
House of Happiness was moved to come to the aid of these disabled because they want to give them the opportunity to live a dignified life.
Purely love, charity. All we want to do is to bring a smile to humanity, to touch lives and make a difference amongst everyone with disability, and not only with people with disability, but with widows, orphans.
Like the disabled, House of Happiness called on other organizations to come on board to alleviate their suffering and prevent their early extinction from this world. Emmanuel Samura, SLBC Freetown.
The Actobrat Information Communication Technology Academy has certified its first batch of graduates after ceremony at Wokel in the Western Area Rural Districts. It was described as an intensive 6 months of computer training for the 9 graduates who were trained on Microsoft Word, Excel, spreadsheets, Microsoft Access, and Publisher, among others. The institution started operations in November 2020 at Rokel in the Western Area Rural District. Chief Executive Officer of the Academy, Gilbert Yambi, said the school was already boasting of 50 students in their first year and was even hopeful of doubling the figure in the ensuing year. Mr. Hambe noted that it was sensible to equip young people with skills in order to become useful and productive in life. He underscored that Sierra Leone needed people with ICT practicality because ICT skills were not only essential in an organization. They could also determine one's ability and success. The creation of the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education by President Bill has turned an unprecedented focus on skills development. The ministry has unleashed a wave of technical and vocational institutions where people failing with university requirements can now turn to empower themselves with skills and develop the middle manpower. Military officers in Sierra Leone have a major role to play in order to foster national development. Such a role, therefore, requires capacity building. It is on that note that 35 senior military officers in the rank of Major and Lieutenant Colonel have been trained and certified at Hunting Command and Staff College. Mohammed Kroma witnessed the occasion.
This team of 35 gallant soldiers had undergone 12 weeks of rigorous training sessions to achieve this milestone. Undoubtedly, the strength of our country lies on its formidable security sector. That is why it is prudent for security officers to be regularly trained and appreciated for a job well done. It is on that note that a graduation ceremony was held for senior officers in the ranks of Major and Lieutenant Colonel or equivalent in other services. Lieutenant Colonel Julius Osesanko is the acting chief instructor of Hunting Command and Staff College.
The aim is to provide the student with the advanced familiarity of the full spectrum of duty which a senior officer will be responsible for, primarily that of managing subordinate and resources and coordinating advanced level operations. Additionally, individual performance in this course has also been used by the senior management at the Ministry of Defense to select suitable officers for command and staff training overseas.
The Deputy Minister of Defense, Colonel Retired Mwana Brema Masakoi, stated his impression about the performance of the officers.
According to the acting chief instructor, when he was giving his course overview, and he made mention of the performance of the student, and I think from the grades I have recalled, the performance is very encouraging. You know, nobody fell short.
The overall best student, Major Usman Samura, admitted that the accolade is a motivation for more commitment.
I am more motivated because now I have qualified to become a lieutenant colonel and I'm also qualified for this training. So these are the requirements we must fulfill before we can become a lieutenant colonel and also to attend overseas course.
Major Mohamed Konde from Guinea spoke on behalf of senior officers from other African countries that were also part of those who graduated.
We have to take this message saying that actually we are all brothers, and currently no one is safe because we are facing the same challenges and facing the same threats. So there's a need for us to cooperate more together so that our armed forces will get used to each other, so that whenever any situation comes, so that we will cope together and face the situation as a brothers.
Military officers require more professional development as the security environment is increasingly becoming much tougher. SLBC, Mohamed Koma reporting.
The Sierra Leone Police Wives Association has officially crowned 37 Mammy Queens and their deputies for all the police barracks across the country. According to the President, Awa Sovora, the newly elected Mammy Queens are supposed to serve in those positions for the next 3 years. The coronation ceremony took place at the Sierra Leone Police Peacekeeping Academy and Law Enforcement, Hastings. Esther Sako was there and now reports.
This was how it was at the Sierra Leone Peacekeeping and Law Enforcement Academy, Hastings, where 37 newly elected Mammy Queens and their deputies were crowned by the First Lady Fatima Bio. The newly elected Mammy Queens and their deputies are expected to serve as peace mediators and shoulder the responsibility of all those residing in all the police barracks across the country. According to the President's Police Wives Association, Awasovula, the association has been working tremendously in contributing to national development. They had set up a skills training center and are providing water facilities for residents in the barracks, though they are facing some challenges.
Our members in the provinces are currently crying foul that they do not have access to the vocational training center in Freetown. Because of the distance, there is every need for us to take it to their doorstep. If not all, but most of the police barracks across the country have sanitation challenges. Because of the high number of people living in our barracks, we are faced with toilet facility problems.
The Skills Development Training Center set up by the Sierra Leone Police Wives Association has been providing skills training for youth, including pregnant women and the disabled, in building and construction, auto-mechanical engineering, tailoring, catering, etc.
I'm fortunate to benefit from the skills development project. Our training is free of cost, and training tools and materials are also free. We have received free uniforms, free books, free safety gears, and everything else is free. Departments have benefited immensely from this training. We came empty, but we have been reformed by the knowledge we have gained.
Head of Skills Training Center Grace Fuller said they are able to give free skills training to the students, but they are faced with difficulty in administering their services.
Adequate equipment for the various disciplines, shortage of funds to pay our salaries to staff, as the majority of our staff are on part-time. Provision of teaching learning materials for students, additional infrastructure to accommodate more youths.
First Lady Fatima Bio noted that it is essential that women join the fight against sexual and gender-based violence, and they are to be supported because they tend to be the main carriers of development in every country. She pledged her support to the Police Wives Association.
I'm happy for dinner here. And also we are doing transformation and putting in the way we want for change right now. When I not take a get them, ask me, Fatima, the give us straight. But when I also know say where I commit myself to something and I make sure say that thing they happen. Here, the issues the way you don't bring up now. I want to let you know, say last year I gave 150 million to the police, and now and the pledge say this now waiting me able, this not to government not give me for you now. Waiting me Fatima able as Fatima Mother Bill. From next year when they start in the next 30 days, and they begin for give 200 million every year. For now we're going to put them into system.
Minister of Internal Affairs David Pandanowa stated that the government has been contributing immensely to the police by providing scholarships for all police children up to college level, and also create access to the Minafa Fund for all police wives across the country. The newly elected Mami Queens and their deputies were advised to serve as helpers to the police administration and should discourage drug peddling, sexual and gender-based violence in the country. SLBC News, Esther Sako reporting.
The escorts were Patricia Bindi.
The Evangelical Assembly of God Church has celebrated its 40th anniversary with a Thanksgiving service on the theme, "The Lord has done marvelous things." The celebration took place at the church, which is situated at Fraser Street in Freetown. Evelyn Cole now reports.
As evangelism is a way of spreading the gospel and preaching of the coming of Jesus Christ, the Evangelical Assembly of God Church celebrates and thank God for taking them through 40 years of evangelism of God's Word. The church, which was founded in 1972, started evangelism to a small congregation of people in a tent to where it is now 40 years later. It has contributed immensely in the spreading of God's word and winning souls for Christ.
We have seen, the work of God in the lives of people, and we decided that it's worth celebrating.
Delivering his sermon, the preacher, Brother Shola Jegede, congratulated the church on the 40th anniversary. He encouraged the church to continue serving God truthfully and justly in his vineyard. He further advises the church that a great church is one that must practice genuine love, devoting in doing God's work, live an exemplary life, and must recognize those who give their time and labor for the Lord.
Those who are lonely and those who mourn as leave the city, God will lead you to safety and will lift you on high in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. I love verse 12. I don't know whether you will like it. In John chapter 5, verse 12, it frustrates the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot carry out their plan, all the plans of the wicked, all the plans of the person of that day against you.
He also used the opportunity to appeal to the congregation to devote in the service of God. Pastor in charge Samuel Kagbo ended by saying that the church will continue to spread the word and train ministers for the evangelism of God's word and will soon launch the construction of a bigger church building.
This is Weekend News coming to you live from the Sierra Broadcasting Corporation here in Freetown. It's now time to take stories making headlines in Africa. Police in Kenya have said that at least 23 people died after a bus carrying choir members to a wedding plunged into a river. Mwangin East Sub-County Police Commander Joseph Yanga said that the drivers tried to steer the bus past a flooded bridge, but the strong current swept the vehicle into the river. Police said 18 people were rescued. The choir members of Wanji Catholic Church had been traveling for their male colleague's wedding when the accident occurred in Quintui County. Officials said the incident is under investigation. Some on board the striking bus managed to escape before the bus was quickly submerged and were helped to safety. Barrow, who ousted dictator Yahya Jammeh 5 years ago, is well ahead of his main challenger Hussein Dabo in the results published in the afternoon by the Electoral Commission of almost 40 districts out of 53 nationwide. Nearly 1 million registered voters were expected to drop marbles into one of the 6 ballot bins, each adorned with the face and name of a candidate. The candidates include incumbent President Adama Barrow, who defeated Jammeh in 2016 as an opposition leader. Independent Electoral Commission presiding officer Musa Baye told journalists that there were no major problems during the vote. The commission chair Aliyu Muma Injai said election results would be announced by Monday. All the presidential candidates vowed to strengthen the country's tourist-dependent economy amid the coronavirus. 40% of female parliamentarians in Africa have experienced sexual harassment at work and 23% have endured physical violence, according to a report by 2 international oversight bodies. Most parliamentarians don't have a mechanism to enable women to safely speak out, and the vast majority of sexism, harassment, and violence disclosed reportedly took place on the premises of Parliament itself, it says. Male MPs are the biggest perpetrators against women MPs, the report says, especially those from rival parties. Women parliamentarians living with disabilities, as well as those under 40 unmarried or from minority groups, reportedly face a higher incidence of violence. The numbers were similarly stark for junior female staff. The report by the Inter-Parliamentary Union and the African Parliamentary Union found with 18% saying they received requests for sexual favor from parliamentary colleagues. These findings are the result of a survey of 224 women working across 50 African countries and one sub-regional parliamentary assembly. Those were stories making headline in Africa. It's now time for entertainment news.
Welcome to the Entertainment Desk. I am Maria Tudukuri. In our entertainment headlines today, we spoke to one of Sierra Leone's legendary musicians, K-Man. Our legendary musician, K-Man, is currently working on his new album. The artist, who has not released a song since 2018, just released a song called Why.
Sometimes I can wonder why always you the blunder. You take me love put under. I don't know.
And he is set to give us an album between 12 to 18 songs. The name of his new album is not yet known, but we all know that the likes of K-Man does not disappoint. In an interview with the SLBC Entertainment News, he tells us more about his upcoming album.
After releasing Why, I'm still working on my new album. The work is on progress. Yeah, we're still working. It might be 15 songs, it might be 11 songs, it might be 12 songs, you never know. Pressure is always there. It has been there, it's always there, because people are always expecting the best from you, especially K-Man. They're expecting something new. So, well, actually, it's good. It's a good thing, because we need the pressure to do well.
The legend advised that entertainers should not just focus on yielding benefits from their talents, but also on developing businesses. The reason, he said,
I've been doing some other stuff apart from music, like buildings, I have a side business apart from music. So that's why I was definitely out of music for quite a long time. Like I said, I was doing construction, my other business. I'm into farming too. I'm into cocoa, cacao stuff. I'm a businessman. One thing I learned, we can't just depend on music, because of the country we're coming from. Well, to be honest with you, if I tell you that music is not paying, I will be lying to you. Yeah, but it's not like what we expect. Time was better. We were doing shows. Companies we are supporting somehow. So my time, it's better. We were having royalties from CDs. We had CSC before, Super Sound. We were making money apart from performing. As a musician right now, you don't have to depend on music alone to survive. You'll be making a mistake if that's what you're doing right now.
He also attests to the fact that the entertainment industry is in shambles, which they themselves, as entertainers, should try to amend.
I said the industry is in shambles right now. I'm telling you the truth. I don't want to put blame on particular sector, either the artists or the DJs or the promoters or the bloggers. We all have to come together and talk this through. All I'm telling you right now, we need to go back to the drawing board. We all have to sit as an entertainer and talk this through, see what's going to happen. We have to keep working, just hope for the best. Because like I said right now, nothing is not happening right now. But that doesn't mean you should relax. Just keep working until the time comes.
Some of these advices should be taken seriously, because there have been lots of issues in our industries that needs to be addressed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have in this edition of Entertainment News. I have been Maria Tudukure. Thank you very much for watching the SLBC, and keep watching the SLBC.
It's now time for the latest updates in sports.
Hello and welcome to Sports Update. In this edition of the Sport News, the Union of Sierra Leone Premier League Clubs has held a day symposium on the numerous challenges faced by local Premier League clubs in the country and came out with resolutions that will foster their development to meet international standards. During the symposium, Director of Competition at the Sierra Leone Football Association, Soyi Ibrahim Sise, however, called on the Premier League clubs owners, executive members to form female clubs as part of the requirement for international best practice before a club represents the country in any international competition. Mohamed Aminturi has the details.
The male-dominated engagement with executives of various Premier League clubs was geared towards discussing challenges and finding possible solutions in addressing their problems as clubs. The dialogue with Premier League Board, Sierra Leone Football Association and the National Sport Authority brought out issues of ticket printing, lack or less attention of security given to clubs during and after matches, presenting of annual financial statements by clubs, playoff of teams coming to the Premier League, players' welfare and documentation issues with the Football Association.
It gives an opportunity for us to dialogue and see where each and every one of us is going wrong and how we can amend it.
I think it's very laudable, and like I mentioned in there, I am not an anti. I rather we dialogue with those that are in charge in terms of articulating the views and the problems of the various 18 Premier League clubs. So that is why I was very, very happy to be part of this union on behalf of Eastern Lions.
With these challenges and having a forum like this, a union like this, I think there is now a place where we can channel our problems so that the FA, we can work, we can have our voice as one.
In his statement on the role of the media in promoting sport, Maurice Jr. said the club union should structure the media team as it is needed in doing their job. Clubs should fix their media teams which will sell them and ensure the fans and people know what they are doing, as it will promote the social cohesion of the clubs and the league. Journalists have a role to play in promoting national interest, and it should be a requirement with more attention focused on the national interest rather than international stories that mostly dominate sports programs. Head of competition of the Sierra Leone Football Association, Soyi Ibrahim Sise, who represented the president of the association, said it is the vision of the president to see clubs promote their interests, as the FA is open to clubs that will ensure smooth running of the league. Clubs, he said, should restructure their management, which is important in licensing their clubs, and reminded the clubs that January we see the resumption of the league and processes will start for the licensing the clubs. But what has the Football Association done in settling the issue of female clubs to ensure Premier League owners cooperate with the demand?
What we have done is to inform our membership to ensure that they prepare themselves, especially those that are intending to represent us in the CAF competition, to have female football clubs in their management. And what we have done as an FA is to continue to sensitize them about this requirement. Then no sooner these clubs have been formed by the respective Premier League clubs, what we will do is to organize a league system for them so that they will be able to participate in some of our local competitions before we send them international.
Keynote speaker from the National Sports Authority, National Sports Coordinator Lamin Sise, said the engagement is a way of supporting and complementing the efforts of governments in promoting the game. The engagement will bring national cohesion when it's beyond political ambitions, as the government has supported the game, which is of importance for the union to establish structures and activate existing ones that will help build the game. Representative of the Premier League Board, Collins Thomas, called on the clubs to change their mentality towards football, to change from being passionate to industrial. For SLBC Sport, Mohamed Toure reporting.
And in the international stage, Ralph Renick gets his first win as manager of Manchester United, though it wasn't easy for the German. A brilliant first 30 minutes from time was enough to give the Red Devils victory. The Red Devils have picked up form since the departure of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with 2 wins and 1 draw away at Chelsea under interim coach Michael Carrick. Well, that's what we have time for in this edition of Sports Updates and His Hour. I am your host, Esther Marie Samar, saying goodbye and keep watching the SLBC.
Many thanks to you, Esther Marie Samra, for that latest updates and sports. To end the news, the main points again. President Julius Maada Bio has called on the women's wing of the Sierra Leone People's Party to come together and work as a team. The president made this call when the women's wing of the party presented their newly elected women's leader, Hawa Fore, to him at State House. Ebenezer West Africa Methodist Church at Desire Street, Freetown, has, in the presence of President Julius Maada Bio, celebrated its 90th chapel anniversary with the theme, "Thus far the Lord has helped us." And the Rainbow Initiative Sierra Leone, together with their partners, has organized a sponsored walk with the theme, "Get Involved, Work with Gender-Based Violence Survivors." The walk was part of the 16 days of activism on raising awareness on sexual violence and abuse against women and girls. Thank you very much for watching and stay tuned to your public broadcaster, the SLBC. If you can, I am Ibrahim Samra. Goodbye and have a night rest.
My name is Patrick Salia from Freetown, where we cover the impossible or untold stories.